Hello everybody, my name is CrackCrusader and welcome to CrackCrusader Reviews. Today I will be reviewing the Callisto Protocol. Now, I was meaning to play the game and upload it to my YouTube channel, but I accidentally screwed up the recording, so there was no game sound at all, so I just decided to scrap the recordings and I'll just give you a review of how I thought the game was, because the whole reason I played Callisto Protocol was because it was supposed to be a spiritual successor to Dead Space, and eh, yeah, there's similarities. Anyway, I'll get into the cons and the pros, and then tell you what I think about the game at the very end and where it stands. Um, the cons of the game: its combat is very linear. Like it's not linear. It's boring. You just basically do the same thing. Its main focus is the melee combat, and it really shows that it's not all that great because it's like if you've ever like seen the other reviews that people have done on this game or heard anything about this game, it's the same thing over and over and over. Like your dodging is just spam the left stick if you're playing on controller. Because I played on PS5 because that's where I bought it, just because I was like, whatever, I'll play it on PS5, not knowing that the PC release would be as crap as it was. So that's also what you have to remember. I played it on PS5, but it just turned out to me being like moving the left stick, like the left analog stick, left and right, so I could dodge attacks. And then once there was an opening, I just beat the shit out of them. That was it. And then in the late game, I just ended up using a gun. That was it. And now the guns, like in Dead Space, do have a secondary fire option if you've played Dead Space 1 2. All those guns had like a secondary fire, but in this game, to get to your secondary fire, you had to spend like a lot of your credits or whatever on it. So on some of the guns, I didn't end up getting it. And on like your starting pistol that you do end up getting, I got that one to its final part with secondary fire. And the problem with the secondary fires is they eat way too much bullets. Like if you, because it takes 5 bullets with the secondary fire for the pistol you get, and that is just way too much to spend. Like weapon wise, when I could use like a few melee hits to kill something with a gun, like I just hit them twice and then shoot them in the head a few times and they die. So I mean, like the problem with the game's combat is it didn't put in enough combos or anything, including when you're using your heavy attack. You can't really use your heavy attack in the game because of just how it like functions basically. Like its heavy attack is very slow and hard to hit, and odds are all enemies will just hit you before you get it off, and you just don't even hurt them. So it's no point in using it. The problem with Callisto Protocol's enemies is that they just repeat themselves a lot, and the way to kill them is super simple. You just sneak behind them and sneak kill them, or you just pump lead into them till they fall over. The next part, now that's about all I have for cons. So is again, they are two very big cons. Enemy types and the main, like when the game relies so much around like fighting these aliens or these zombie alien type things, and it's not done well, it looks really bad, or it feels really bad, because in Dead Space, like these enemies, like if you just shot them in the body a bunch of times, you could kill them, but it was way more inefficient than if you just chopped off their arm. Where in this game, just pumping them full of lead will just do them in. I mean, that's actually how they want you to kill them. And it really just doesn't, it definitely does not hold up to Dead Space combat wise. And again, the enemy types Dead Space has so much more. There's so many more enemy types, and a lot of the enemy types are the same as in Dead Space. Like there's a lot of copies, which is not a bad thing, because again, it's supposed to be like spiritual successor to Dead Space. But at the same time, you can't just have like pixel repeats. And let alone they didn't even have as much different enemy variations as Dead Space did. But anyway, getting into the pros, the game it's probably the best game I've ever seen. Like, detail-wise and, like, visual-wise. Yeah, I think it's the greatest game I've ever seen. Has to be. The finishers were really good. There was a lot of finishers to do, too. Like, there was a lot of finishers when you died. There was a lot of different ways you died at the end. So there was a lot of cool finishing cutscenes or whatever against you, which is something you don't see often in games, including Dead Space, where there was a few, but this game took it above and beyond all the ways they showed how your character could die, which is actually super sick and looked really cool. Story-wise, the story's pretty good. There was a few characters I got attached to, although the game is really short, so you don't get attached to a lot of them, but it made me feel a lot like Dead Space because the characters reminded me of, like, some characters that you see in Dead Space. Like, you have in the first game, you have a few people that you talk with that, one of them's good and one of them's bad. I'm not going to spoil it, even though it's, like, over 10 years old, the first game. There are, like, there's so many good character parts in Dead Space. And then in Callisto, like this Callisto Protocol, it reminded me of the first game with the two characters you have that you converse with over time. But yeah, that's all. The rest of the game's pretty. It's all right. Like some of the puzzle solving, I got a little stuck on because I'm stupid, but not a knock on the game or anything. That's not even a good thing either, though. But anyway, putting in the Callisto Protocol, like what I think it's probably like I'd say it's an 80. Like, I'm excited for more games. I hope the company that made, or the developers that made Callisto Protocol make a second game, because they left it on a cliffhanger, and I think it could be a really good game. Like, there's still a lot they could do if they just improved a little bit of the gameplay and stuff. Game would easily hold up to Dead Space without a problem, but they also have to make the game a little longer, or if they don't make the game longer, lower the price of the game, because for $90 for this game, I don't think it's worth it. Maybe if it was 70, yes, but not if it was 90. But for a successor to Dead Space, it definitely comes close to it, and I am excited to see what else they come with the game, or what they do with the game franchise. But yeah, that's it, and see you in the next one. Bye!